the coronavirus pandemic. You know, the reason we're all saying, this feels so amazing when we have lunch with two friends. So let's check in on the latest developments in another episode of Keeping Up with Corona. As of now, 95 million Americans are fully vaccinated against COVID, which I don't care what anybody says is amazing. Americans are getting their shots almost as fast as Americans are getting shots. But the bad news is, America might be running out of people who are interested in saving their own life.
There are growing signs that the nation's vaccination program is losing some steam. Nationwide, the average rate of vaccinations is down roughly 20% in the last 2 weeks. Some states are starting to actually turn down shipments of the vaccine because they have more supply than demand.
In Arkansas, 17 counties are cutting back.
A number of mass vaccination sites in Texas are closing, and more than half of the counties in Kansas have turned down vaccine shipments because they'll go unused.
All of this comes amid new reports that more than 5 million Americans, or about 8% who got the first shot of either Pfizer or Moderna vaccine, missed getting the second shot.
Okay, I mean, this is just weird to me, people. You're seriously gonna wait this long for a vaccine, take half the doses, and then just bail? Getting half the vaccine isn't good enough. I mean, it's the same reason that Trojan discontinued their crop top line of condoms. It just doesn't work as well. And please, don't get me wrong. I don't like the framing where it's like, oh, this is doom and gloom, 8%. No, 92% of the people getting their second dose on time. That's still really impressive. But the bigger problem is that demand for the vaccine in America overall is falling. I mean, just a few weeks ago, we were all scrambling for appointments. Refresh, refresh, refresh. Now you can pick up Moderna shots in the 2-for-1 bin at a Walmart. And I don't know, maybe the problem is that people like things that are new, and now the vaccine doesn't feel new anymore. Maybe what we need is a rebrand. Start calling it the Vaccine Pro S. Change the color, and then people will be lining up around the block. So, America finds itself now having so much vaccine supply that it doesn't know what to do with it. And this is a really unique situation when you look at the rest of the world, because many countries have barely any vaccines at all. And for them, the pandemic is worse than ever before. And no place is in worse shape right now than India.
Tonight, what officials in India call a tsunami of coronavirus cases is fast becoming a global catastrophe. For the third day in a row, the country shattering world records. More than 345,000 cases reported in the last 24 hours. Nearly 1 million in the last 3 days alone.
An aggressive mutant variant, no match for the country's underfunded medical system. Hospitals are turning patients away for lack of oxygen, medicine, and beds.
While India's official death toll at under 200,000 is still only 1/3 that of the U.S., Indian funeral workers say the true number of casualties is far higher.
The black market is now thriving. To give you some idea, a tank of oxygen was about $80 before the pandemic. They're now going for more than $1,000.
Yeah, people, things are really dire in India right now. Countless people are dying. The hospital system is collapsing, and oxygen is going for $1,000 on the black market. That is so much money. Like, I'm surprised people aren't out there mugging scuba divers. And the really sad part about this crisis is that it could have been avoided if India's government hadn't taken their eye off the ball.
Only 2 months ago, it looked like India had avoided the worst. The government relaxed rules, even allowed a huge Hindu festival just a few weeks ago.
In recent months, even as cases rose, Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosted huge political rallies, flouted social distancing, and allowed mass gatherings.
Thousands of people have been taking to Twitter with trending hashtags like Resign Modi, Super Spreader Modi, and the reason is because Prime Minister Modi's ruling political party has been holding rallies.
The government of Narendra Modi has contacted Twitter to censor some of the tweets that have been highly critical of his government's mishandling of this second wave. And interestingly, Twitter complied, removing some of these tweets.
Okay, you know things are getting bad when a leader's response to criticism of his failures is to try and shut down the criticism, not the failures. We've got to stop the spread of these mean tweets about me. Honestly, you know who must be so jealous of Modi right now? Donald Trump. Yeah, because Modi's got it on lock. He got Twitter to censor his enemies. He's out here holding huge rallies in the middle of a pandemic. And he's even got the skin tone that Trump has been trying to get for years. And look, maybe Modi thought there were good reasons to let crowds gather indoors, but I'll say it again. The virus does not care why you're gathering. It's still coming to get you. But look, regardless of how it got there, India is in a really, really bad place right now. And it needs help from the rest of the world before things get even worse. Thankfully, the United States has stepped up to grudgingly answer the call.
Tonight, a global response to the COVID crisis ravaging India, as the U.S. pledges immediate medical aid, including drug treatments, rapid diagnostic COVID-19 testing kits, ventilators, PPE, oxygen supplies, and ingredients for producing vaccines.
The United States is partially lifting a ban on exports of the materials needed to make coronavirus vaccines in India. The move is an abrupt policy change for the Biden administration, which had previously denied the request to allow the exports, claiming their focus was on vaccinating Americans.
The United States' first answer when this was discussed last week was, well, America comes first. That's what we heard from the State Department.
The United States, first and foremost, is engaged in an ambitious and effective and so far successful effort to vaccinate the American people.
Okay. Yeah, this is good. Look, I'm glad to see America sending something to the rest of the world that doesn't have the name of the wrong Super Bowl winner printed on it, but I still feel like America could be doing a lot more. I mean, just today, America announced that it would start sharing its massive stockpile of millions of doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine, which, by the way, America has been sitting on for months, even though it doesn't need it. Doesn't need it, but just has it. So America's basically treating these vaccines like it was the old can of pumpkin puree in the back of the cabinet. I mean, you knew you were never going to use it, but you still held on to it way longer than you should, because maybe, just maybe one day, someone will be like, I'm dying, I need pumpkin puree. Ha ha! Got some in the back of my cabinet. And don't get me wrong. I know that a country's priority has to be looking after its own people, but don't forget that it makes America safer when Corona is under control in the rest of the world. Because the more Corona has time to run wild, we've seen the more opportunity it has to mutate and become more deadly. And trust me, if a bad mutation emerges, it's gonna come to America. Corona spreads through respiratory droplets. And when have you ever met someone who took a trip to India and didn't shut up about it? So look, we need to remember that until everyone is immune, the job is always going to be only half done. You know, it's kind of like only getting your first shot. It helps, but the job's not complete. So America really needs to start helping the rest of the world now. Or it can start saving up for those $1,000 tanks of oxygen. As you know, coronavirus has been with us for over a year now, and it's changed everything about our lives, right? We've lost jobs, we've spent all day on Zoom, we've forgotten how to interact with other people. I mean, I don't even remember how to shake hands anymore. Like, do I grab the other person's hand or do I just shake mine in front of their face? This is it, right? This is no? So for a long time, we've been sitting in our homes and washing our face masks, waiting for the day when things would start to get back to normal. But my friends, it looks like that day may finally be here.
Tonight, the CDC's About Face changes daily life for all Americans, especially those fully vaccinated, releasing this new chart updating guidelines on face masks outdoors. The agency now says whether you're vaccinated or not, it's safe to walk down the street, go for a run, or a bike ride without a face covering. You also won't need one to attend a small outdoor gathering like a barbecue if everyone else is vaccinated. For those who are fully vaccinated, the new outdoor guidelines extend further. The CDC also saying it's safe to gather outside in a small group, whether others are vaccinated or not.
The bottom line is clear. If you're vaccinated, you can do more things. So for those who haven't gotten their vaccination yet, this is another great reason to go get vaccinated. Now.
Yes! Yes, thank you, yes, this is so great. The CDC is saying that you can walk and run outside without a mask now, even if you're not vaccinated. Oh, hallelujah! Guys, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. You know why? Because now we won't have to give each other dirty looks when we're walking past each other on the street just because of wearing or not wearing masks. You know, now we can go back to the good old days of giving each other dirty looks because of racism, classism, sexism, ableism, homophobia, and those people who wear Adidas pants with Nike shoes. What are you doing? You crazy motherfucker! You see, we never needed masks. We already knew how to hate each other. I'm also glad because now, according to this CDC chart, if you're vaccinated, you can go eat outdoors now without a mask on, as opposed to before when you had to wear a mask while you were eating. That was such a disaster, but man, I lost a ton of weight. Whoo, I was looking so good and hungry. For real, people, I'm just so happy that we can start taking off our masks now because everybody wants to take off their masks. Like, nobody likes wearing those things. You know, even Scorpion in the new Mortal Kombat movie, even Scorpion just desperately wants to take off his mask. I don't know why he got that metal face mask. Those things are so hard on your washing machine. So look, man, I'm excited that life is slowly getting back to normal. But what doesn't excite me is the messaging from the CDC. In fact, it's made me so mad that the only way I can express myself is in a viral rant. Okay, now look, people. I know science is difficult and this is a novel virus and all of that, but who's running messaging at the CDC, huh? First they said masks make us less safe. Oh, don't wear a mask. Then they said masks make us more safe. And now, according to this new chart, masks can make you not safe again? In fact, this whole chart is trash. Yeah, I said it. I mean, for starters, this guy is in the least safe category, but he's wearing a mask. If it's not safe, even with the mask on, then don't have a guy there. Just have an X or something that signifies danger, like a skull and crossbones or a picture of R. Kelly. And the whole thing is too complicated. I have to sit here trying to interpret reds and yellows and greens. There's outdoor, indoor, partial, indoor, outdoor with the people who might be vaccinated, partially vaccinated. This is unreadable. You don't see the Forest Service putting out flow charts like no fires unless the fires are in stone pits, or you come from a long line of firefighters, or you watch the weather and you know a rainstorm is coming in a few minutes. No, they say no fires or this bear is gonna eat your f***ing family. Who designed this chart? The same people who designed those parking signs in LA? And the really frustrating thing about this chart is that they've spent 5 months telling us to get vaccinated. Oh, get vaccinated and this will all be over. Get vaccinated. And I was like, great, I'll get all the 4 vaccines if it means I'll get my life back. But now they're putting out a chart and it says even if you get vaccinated, you can only do 2 more things without a mask on? 2? Guys, what the hell? The shit you're saying to people is incoherent. You're telling us these new vaccines are 95% effective and will stop coronavirus, but we still can't do anything without a mask on anyway. Which is it? Is this one of the most effective vaccines in the history of the world, or does it not work? It's not clear messaging, especially if you're desperately trying to convince people to get the vaccine. Can you imagine if every time you ordered an Uber, it said, oh, your Uber's coming in 5 minutes, but maybe also get a Lyft, just in case. I mean, I already know that maybe the Uber could get into an accident on the way over, but if the app keeps telling me that, I'm gonna stop ordering Ubers. And yes, I know the CDC is just trying to cover all the bases because maybe there's a tiny chance you could get corona even if you're vaccinated. But if that messaging ends up convincing people that there's not much of a reason to get vaccinated at all, then we're shooting ourselves in the foot, which is not something we should do. Or as the CDC would put it, masked guy in an indoor red zone. The coronavirus vaccine, the thing that's responsible for the most welcome stabbing spree in history. More than 40% of Americans have now gotten at least 1 dose of the vaccine. But there are still a lot of people out there who have yet to roll up their sleeves. And maybe it's because they wrongly believe that the vaccine is dangerous. Or maybe they think it's a plot by Bill Gates to replace our brains with Windows 10. Or maybe they think Bill Gates didn't put a microchip inside the vaccine, and that's why they don't want it. Whatever the reason, America won't be rid of coronavirus until more of these vaccine holdouts get on board. Which is why now some places are coming up with a creative incentive for winning these people over.
Health officials are getting creative in how they convince hesitant Americans to get the COVID vaccine.
The governor of West Virginia is offering a $100 savings bond to anyone 16 to 35 who gets the vaccine.
At the American Museum of Natural History in Manhattan, get your shot along with a free museum pass for 4.
This is happening right here in Erie County. The new strategy is targeted towards younger adults, and the county executive is calling it Drink for a Dose.
Shot and a chaser. Get your shot, get a coupon for a free beer. Get your chaser.
In Baton Rouge, the Shots for Shots program is run by Relief, a telehealth company. 23-year-old Brandon Bro went to a bar with friends and ended up vaccinated.
Where did you get your first shot?
I got it at a local bar. It was a shot for shot nights.
Yo, man, people are crazy. Like, people are officially crazy. We have doctors coming up to us like, we worked our asses off for a year to develop this vaccine that'll save your life. And our response is, but what's in it for me? I mean, on the other hand, there is a long history of giving people free alcohol for doing stuff that they should be doing anyway. You know, you give alcohol to your friends so they'll help you move. Or you give alcohol to your baby so they'll stop crying and let you finish watching The Circle in peace. So look, man, I don't really mind this. I just think they have to be careful not to mix up who's giving out which shots, because if a bartender tries to sterilize your arm with that disgusting rag, well, your ass gonna die. Honestly though, I think the best way to incentivize vaccinations is for Joe Biden to ban them. Yeah. Then I promise you now, all these anti-vax MAGA people, they'll be racing to get it. No way I'm letting Sleepy Joe tell me what vaccines I can take. Stick that shit in my arm for freedom. The coronavirus pandemic. It's the thing your brain is preparing to store as a repressed memory. With more and more Americans getting vaccinated, the country is starting to look ahead to a new normal. New York City now plans to fully reopen at the beginning of July, and cruise ships will now be able to reopen in the middle of July, which means the COVID pandemic will reopen at the end of July. We're doing this, people. We're doing it. But maybe the biggest sign that things are finally getting back to normal is the return of every freeloader's favorite way to snack.
Costco is promising to bring back 2 popular features that were stopped during the pandemic. The big box retailer has the food court, and free samples will return as long as state regulations allow it. Costco says food courts could reopen with outdoor seating, and samples will likely be offered in to-go bags for customers to take outside of the store.
I'm sorry, guys. It's just, I never thought this day would come. I mean, yeah, I missed hugging my grandma or whatever, but the thing I really missed during Corona was those tiny free empanadas. You know what's really great about this new world? Is because now we own so many face masks, you can just keep getting samples. All you gotta do is put on a different mask and then come back around. No, it's not me. I'm another guy. Now, because the pandemic is still going on, things aren't gonna be exactly the same, all right? They're gonna be giving people free samples to go to eat outside the store, which is different, and personally, I think amazing, because sometimes it's too much pressure when the free sample person is watching me eat. Oh, wow, that's delicious. It's a bold, tangy flavor. That is so fantastic. What are these again? You just ate one of the used toothpicks. And I mean, best toothpick I've ever eaten. I mean, I might buy a box. Now, if you don't shop at Costco, first of all, where do you buy your 6-pack Honda Civics? And secondly, you gotta understand how important free samples are to the Costco experience. If you're gonna buy a 10-year supply of kimchi, you need to know what you're signing up for. Look, the truth is, people love free samples. I don't care who you are. You love free samples. In fact, that's how they should convince MAGA people to get their shots. Don't call it a vaccine. You call it a free sample of the vaccine. Well, I heard it has a microchip that'll make my brain bisexual. But I love free samples, so why don't you give me a little bit of that Pfizer and maybe a bit of J&J after that?